This is Get Off My Lawn Live. Join us as we talk trending topics, world and local issues, and the conversations that we need to talk about as people. Get Off My Lawn Live is a Nighthawk Network presentation. Good evening, everybody. What's going on? Eric Buckner in the building. I am the host of Get Off My Lawn Live. I am thankful that you are here today to discuss with us as we talk trending topics and the things we need to talk about as people, as we do on this here podcast. Thank you again for coming on through, showing love, whether it be now or later on in the rebroadcast. We are appreciative of you. That being said, we are going to talk about a few things this evening. I will give you a quick preview of what we're going to discuss. If you have not read the preview already that I listed in the commentary earlier, we are going to give you an update of the latest of what's going on at the Oxford High School. Big day for them tomorrow, so we're going to talk about that. We're also going to discuss tax season, as tomorrow will mark the day in which you can start turning in your taxes to the government to get that refund. We'll get into that. We're going to talk bad habits, and particularly the one that I recently discussed on my Facebook page. A couple comments I do want to address involving that. And also the main topic today is, how is Biden doing? A year one analyst. Remember, we said we would revisit this about a year once we figure out, okay, this is what's going on with the president. What do we think he's done well? What do we think he's not doing so well? So I will get into my personal thoughts on that, and you can give me yours as well. So that is what the show will be about today. Feel free, as always, to chime in with your comments, commentaries. All appreciated as long as they are respectfully done. All respectful content is always appreciated, whether you agree with me or not. It's all to the good. It's all a part of the programming. So that being said, we are going to dip out as we do about this time. So you have time to check in with your people, grab you a beverage or a drink or something to grub on. And then when we get back here to Get Off My Lawn Live, we will discuss the topics and just kick it with you guys. You know how we do. So that being said, here we are. Get Off My Lawn Live. Again, I am your host, Eric Buck, and we'll be back after these fine words from the people of the Nighthawk Network. Let's get it, y'all.
We're not asking for your permission. We're not seeking your approval. We're claiming what's ours in the name of our ancestors. We are their answered prayers. This is more than a movement. This is a revolution. Black innocence. What are yours today?
Viewer discretion is advised.
Behind the Blue Curtain, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Unscripted talk on police reform and race relations.
And now, Behind the Blue Curtain's law enforcement liaison, retired 32-year Chicago police veteran, homicide detective, former commander, sergeant, grant writer, lecturer, and adjunct professor, Joseph J. Mosley.
Behind the Blue Curtain's Minister of Common Sense, former 12-year Fort Worth police officer, educator, voice of reason, and unapologetic practitioner of sound judgment, the young scholar, LaRonda Young.
Behind the Blue Curtain's co-host, fact checker, and investigative journalist Isidoro Rodriguez.
If you're breathing, that's your cue. Gonna come through.
Come on down. Okay, black on. Get into it. Black on. Look at that David Ford right there. That's his thing. Black on. He don't know Tom. Look at that David Ford. That's his thing. He don't know Tom. Yeah. Yes. Oh, here we go. Oh, I can see the demons. I can't see the demons, but I can see the light.
We are creating black luxury across this country.
All right, everybody, we are back. This is Get Off My Lawn Live. Shout out to the people in the Bigo universe, as well as all of you tuning in from whatever device or locale you are tuning in from. Thank you for joining us in these discussions this evening. I think we are going to start off the discussions today by talking about the place that has become near and dear to a lot of our hearts here in the local area, One Oxford High School. This is an update as to what's going on. As you know, the tragic shooting that happened there late November involving the very disturbed young man who will soon be on trial for the crime. That is going on the one end, but on the other end, there are the victims, the people who have basically suffered throughout this whole ordeal. They now have to kind of work toward exercising those demons tomorrow, as tomorrow will mark the day in which they return back to the actual high school itself. For the last 2 previous weeks, they have been doing kind of a hybrid of going to the middle school located close to the high school to do classes, as well as doing some online learning. Tomorrow, however, is the day that the high school will actually be open to the students for the first time. So it's going to be an interesting day for some of them. There are a few of them who have spoke out on various media platforms throughout the week to discuss their anxiety, their concerns. But there are those who are also looking forward to the day where they get to see their fellow classmates and their friends again, as several of them have not really been in a lot of contact with one another outside of the phone and things, of course, in the last few weeks since this has happened. Here's the thing. One thing that they have done to kind of help in the process, they have remodeled a lot of the inner part of the school in terms of painting a lot of the walls and lockers and adding new carpet. According to some of the old pictures that I saw, it looked like it could use an upgrade anyway, to be honest. But ultimately, that is being done for the most part to kind of give it a different feel, so you don't kind of go back to that day. But I imagine it'll be hard for a lot of students not to understand that part of the problem will come that some of those students were close to the 4 people who have been killed in school and are no longer with us. They were their best friends, people on their teams, things of that nature. There is no taking away the memory of that. No amount of paint, carpeting, wall fixtures, lighting fixtures will take that away from them. They will definitely be in their minds as they walk through that school tomorrow. Understand you have changed what part of the school looks like, but you have not changed the location of the school. I'm sure there are several students who are no longer attending Oxford High School after what happened. I spoke out on it quite often in the last few weeks as we talked about this, that if I had a child and they attended that high school, there's no way on earth I would send my child back to that school, regardless of whatever protocols or things of that nature that they have set up to ensure the safety. I just myself would not be comfortable. It would always be in the back of my head what might happen that fateful day when that child goes to school. And the idea where I would hope that if anybody has any crazy thoughts in regards to Oxford High, that you definitely do not try to pull that tomorrow, because it definitely will probably be even more secure than usual, I would think. That being said, a lot of the news outlets have been asked to kind of give the students a little step back and allow them to kind of ingratiate themselves back into that life without all the media pressing them about what do you think and how do you think. So I imagine there will not be a lot of up close news coverage tomorrow, but I'm sure there'll be a couple cameras somewhere around about the facility just to kind of see what the traffic is like and what have you. But yeah, right now, if I'm an Oxford High School student, I admit I'd probably be very kind of antsy at this point as to what it'll be like. But hopefully, as the weeks and months come, it will get more routine and we'll try to put some of that stuff behind us. But the other thing that we have to establish is that, yes, they have come out and talked about some of the other things that went on in that high school prior to the incident and kind of put to rest some of the rumors that were out there. But in the end, there's no doubt that there were other things that happened previous to that incident. And those things were not fully resolved. They supposedly have been investigated and found to be not credible threats, but they did occur. And I imagine some of those students, whoever they were that were involved in some of those other incidents, or some of those people in the community, they are still there. So there's still that outside possibility of things going awry. Fortunately, since we've been back to school, there has not been a lot of threats being made or any incidents of great note for the most part since winter semester has started. But I imagine now that Oxford High School is open, there will definitely be some very close attention paid to not only to that school, but to several of the other schools who have received threats in the last 30 to 60 days. So all I can say is we are keeping those young people in our prayers this evening. There will be grief counselors and all that on deck there at the high school tomorrow for any of those that kind of, have a moment where they get to not feeling so cool about it. I would say if you are one of the parents of that high school, just kind of monitor your child that first week or two, kind of see where their mindset is in regards to it all, kind of help them work through the process if you need to. And in the end, if they're just not comfortable, hopefully you are given the option to either online school your child or to basically move that child to another district closer, or maybe not as close as Oxford, but like in the vicinity thereof. Hopefully they are allowing some folks to have that option, because I'm sure some of them will want it, if not now, then soon after. So that is our update in regards to Oxford High School. Hopefully it all works out for them, and we will definitely monitor to see if anything of note happens between now and then. So that is that. Let's move on. Now we're going to talk about tax season. For those of you who don't know, tomorrow marks the first day when you are allowed to do your taxes and send them into the government. As you know, some of you will basically be looking to do that as soon as possible, definitely through your tax service, because, of course, you want your money back as soon as possible to do with it as you will. Now, we will have the whole discussion about tax baller season in a couple of weeks, as I usually do every year. But what I will say is be prepared to kind of have a little bit more intricate things to deal with in terms of the taxes this year. Remember, for many of us who have received stimulus packages, you are to claim that on your taxes. I don't know how that's going to affect what is taxed, what is not, but you are to claim that you have it. So please know that you need to do that. That includes all the people that are getting that monthly tax credit for the children, all that is tax claimed income that you need to know about and put on your taxes. If you are someone who has received unemployment last year, you definitely need to claim that as well as part of your tax. Whether you basically claimed it for the entire year or basically for a short period of time and then went back to work, all that needs to be claimed as well. It is said that it's probably better to get a tax consultant or some type of tax program to run as opposed to doing your own taxes. But for many of you, your taxes are usually very simplified. It's just basically the one W-2 and that. But this year, I probably would recommend that you get someone to help you with your taxes to basically navigate some of the little in-betweens that you normally would not have to deal with that you will, of course, have to contend with because of COVID and the like. So there is that. So that being said, get ready, y'all. If you don't have your W-2s, you know they got till the end of the month to get them to you. Ask whatever you need to ask. Another thing of note I will point out is that when you are looking to find out when you are going to receive your taxes and you go online, they are saying that there's a one new website they're creating. And on that site, you're going to be required to have some type of photo on file so they can identify you through your photo. I know some people are going to definitely have an issue with that, with the whole thing in regards to the whole photograph and that type of stuff, when they use that to identify you as opposed to just your name and social security number and the like. I'm sure people will talk about that as that becomes more common knowledge, but definitely know that that is a possibility if you are looking to find out when your taxes come in from the IRS, that new program they are going to implement, and you're going to have some type of photo recognition in order to find out the information that you need to get. So keep that in mind, people. With that being said, we shall move on. We now will talk about the main thing I came to discuss this evening. Do know ahead of time that this is probably going to be a shorter episode than usual. But that's okay, especially if we don't get many comments this evening. That is fine. I know a couple of you are tuning in, and we also know people tune in after the fact, so that is fine as well. Basically, what we're going to talk about now is the current president. How is Biden doing? This is going to be our one-year analysis of what we think the president is doing, how well he's doing. Are we getting what we expected in terms of him and the rest of the government? That is our main topic of discussion today. As we wait for people to come and comment, I will basically go on and say that, remember last year, I basically made a PowerPoint presentation. Remember when I was making those? We will go back to doing those again. We've been having some computer issues at times, so it's not been as easy to contend with, not to mention due to time restraints and such, but we should have more time to contend with those types of things in the months to come. So look forward to more PowerPoint type presentations as we move forward. But yeah, last year I made a PowerPoint presentation in regards to what I felt are some of the key things that I would want the Biden administration to deal with in its first 4 years. Right now, I will tell you that overall, my opinion is that we are not getting what our vote asked to get. We are definitely not getting that. And I am not in the minority of that. When we look at the overall approval numbers in most of the polls right now, basically the president gets somewhere around a 40% approval rate, pretty much just slightly better than the previous president, or about on par as the previous president at this point. Most people feel like the main problems that are not being dealt with correctly is the main thing that he basically ran on. In order to get things back to normal, you have to control the virus. So, of course, that was the first thing on my list, and the rest of this I'm going to show you shortly. But right now, as we know, the virus has not been controlled. We are, in fact, still in very high numbers in terms of people getting sick. They are reporting in the last few days that hospitalizations are going down in most of the country, which is good. However, we are seeing now that a lot of these southern states are the ones suffering the most from COVID. And understand that the numbers are not what they are reported. Of course, there are some of you that say that the numbers are too high. They're saying it's more than it is. I say it's the opposite. A lot of people are taking the at-home test. testing positive and not reporting it to the proper reporting agencies for them to know, so they get an idea of what the numbers truly are and able to do contact tracing thereof. So there is that. But ultimately, what we're looking at here is that that situation is not resolved. I really thought that they would do a better job of getting people to have confidence in the vaccine. Clearly, they have not. The numbers, for the most part, have not moved in the last few months in regards to getting people to take the vaccine. Right now, we still have about 60% of the country who has taken at least 1 or 2 doses. We got about 15 to 20% of the country that has taken the booster shot. And for the most part, the rest of the people who have not have no intentions of doing so whatsoever. All right, we're getting some people checking in. Said Biden gets a D on inflation, F on borders rights, F on police reform. And let me find out who that is so I can address them properly. But yeah, as we go through it, we definitely will give you my understanding of what I'm looking at in terms of his overall job performance. Like I said, in the end, if we're doing simple thumbs up, thumbs down right now, we definitely doing thumbs down, okay? I will say that much. Will Muhammad is checking into the program. I'm assuming that is he who is speaking. Right now, based on what I'm seeing, if I was a staunch Democrat, I would not be happy. If I was a Republican, I also would not be happy. At this point, I am declaring myself independent. Right now, I'm not happy with either party. Neither one of them are giving me enough of what I need in order to feel confident in my government. That's just plain and simple. Now, let's look at some of these other things that I talked about. And Harris is a cardboard vice president. These 2 comments are from Stan. Oh, Stan Mason checking in. All right, then, Stan. Fair enough. Yeah, I definitely am not getting much out of the vice president either. She's been put in charge of certain things. Those things that she's been put in charge of, like the whole immigration, things of that nature. Voting rights was part of her agenda as well. Not getting a lot of good feedback, not a lot of good work in regards to that. Remember, if basically the plan is for Biden to run the next 6 years and then Harris to run after him, she is not installing much confidence in her ability to be a future president at this point. Not at all. That being said, let's look at some of this here. Okay. Number 2 on my list, I had help stabilize the economy and provide aid to Americans in need. Now, granted, we know one of the first things that the president did indeed do is put in the whole stimulus package situation and the Biden relief plan, though he did have issue with getting it passed. And basically thought that that would be the case. He did indeed get it passed. And several of the things that he has implemented, or these states, I should say, have implemented in regard to the money they received from the Biden plan, has been somewhat helpful. However, there's a lot of that money just kind of hanging out in different places. Some of the Republicans will definitely mention that. Understand, you'll get a lot of understanding of what's going on correctly and what has not as the year progresses and we get closer to election time, because clearly the strategy will be me Republican, him Democrat, me doing good job, them not. Democrat will be like, we trying to do our job, but Republican ain't helping. We need to get rid of them and we need more of us so we can do the job. That's basically going to be the program in a nutshell. They'll have different ways to go about it, but in the end, you see how the puppet strings are forming on either side at this point. Bottom line is, again, we are not done with COVID. The schools are supposed to be safer because they gave them all this money to implement all these safety precautions and whatnot in the schools. One of the bigger spreaders of the virus right now are public schools, or even private schools for that matter. Schools, period. How many of these college institutions have shut down to do online learning in the last 6 months? How many of them who have collegiate programs have had to shut down either the girls, men's, or both programs for a period of time due to COVID problems? If you are a school and you have had all your games this year, consider yourself fortunate. Because a lot of the major programs have had to cancel games, suspend games, switch games to different times. And we're not just talking about football, we're talking about basketball, gymnastics, you name it, because of COVID protocols and COVID issues. Bottom line is the money was put out there. Yeah, I'm sure the stimulus did help a lot of people. The unemployment ran out in September. Despite what they think, it did not create this extra job growth that they thought would happen because now people have run out of money. They did not give people enough credit for saying, hey, I'm not doing this with my life no more. I'm going to, in fact, do something different. So, no, I'm not going to go back to my traditional job. And in some cases, you said, no, I'm not going back to work at all. I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to use some of this money that I'm getting and set myself up to work. And that has worked for some of you. So there's that. And of course, now there's the whole inflation situation. And understand, it don't matter who would have been president at this point. There would have been an inflation issue. So if you are stupid enough to sit there and think that, yeah, if stupid had been in charge, the orange clown known as 45, we wouldn't have this problem with the economy, you are sadly mistaken. You are sadly mistaken, especially since Republicans are chiming on the fact that we are spending too much money trying to resolve this issue. So if they weren't going to spend any money, how do you think they were going to get it fixed? Explain that one to me. All right, let's move on. Number 3, I said we'll work on a better Obamacare system that is easier to understand and implement. Obviously, Biden did make a few changes to what he is now calling Biden Care, but in the end, still not more understandable. You go on the website, you still have issues with trying to figure out what is what and who is who, and it doesn't fully explain things. We have the website now to get your testing and all of that. It's a little bit clearer, but people are already having some issues in regards to that. So in the end, Biden Care is not a much better version of Obamacare at all. And of course, part of them saying there's still things we want to implement, but right now, don't look like they're going to be able to pull that off. And we'll get into that as we get further down the list. So, okay, let's go to number 4 now. Number 4, I said we'll work on some of the agenda set by your fellow Democrats, in particular the people on what's seen as the other side of the aisle, where they talk about things they want to implement like free health care, universal college education in terms of community college, 2-year institutions, college period. They want to get rid of a lot of the current debt of people who went to college. None of those things have happened at all. We talk about getting medical leave for people, having leave for both the man and the woman when they have child, things of that nature, paying for actual child care for people under 5, universal preschool. None of that has happened. None of those bills have passed. The Voting Rights Act obviously has not been passed, despite several tries through several different methods. None of that has worked. Remember, one of the other main components that the president ran on was we are going to work with people on the other aisle. We are going to get some cooperation going and work with each other as we did in the past. That has not been the case. If anything, the Republicans have been more stubborn than ever when it comes to helping pass any of these bills. The only thing they have seemed to got some agreements on is when it's time to refund the government and to make sure that their money's still coming in when it's time for them to get paid. Then at some point at the last minute, they figure this thing out and they make it happen. But beyond the realm of most of that, we are not getting much cooperation on either side. So no, he definitely gets an F for that. Number 5, I said we'll work with both Democrats and Republicans and consider great ideas by both. Here's the thing. Not only are they not working together, but then when it comes to the Republicans, where are these ideas on the other end? You're saying, okay, no, Democrats, we can't do this way. That's not going to work. So where are the ideas that say, okay, if that's not going to work, then what do you suggest? Are you not there to work? It seems like to me, if you're a Republican right now, what are you really doing? Because in the end, when it comes time to vote, you vote no on pretty much anything that's put up there that has been created by any type of Democratic person. So basically, you're there to vote no. So what are you doing? You're not trying to get these bills passed. You're not having the necessary conversation, at least so it seems, to come up with solutions to where these bills make sense. It's not like we don't need a lot of these things that they are trying to implement. We know we need some better healthcare. We know we need better education. We know we need to start doing things that's going to promote more dependence on electrical and solar and wind as opposed to gas. We know all these things need to be implemented somewhere down the line in order for us to move forward as a people. But yet you don't come with any solutions. All you come with is no. So let's just say that more than likely, because it does appear that based on everything going on, you are setting yourself up to where there will not any longer be a Democratic Congress that is set up to succeed in that way. In other words, either the Republicans will take over the House or the Senate, if not both. And at that point, what will we get then? Will we get anything? Or will you just basically ride the wave for 2 years and wait to see if you can get your president back in there so then you can do whatever you guys want to do, whatever that may be? Because again, I guess I need to watch Fox News or something more because I'm not seeing a lot of, okay, let's implement this instead of what the Democrats are going to do. I'm not seeing a lot of that at all. All I see is a lot of bickering and backbiting and fighting like kids in a high school. So that's where I'm at with that. Again, F for sure. Definitely F on that. Number 6, let's reestablish our good relations with our foreign allies. Now, I will say for the most part, it does appear the president has done that. A lot of the people that we were at odds with under the previous administration, we seem to be back in a pretty good place with. We all know the situation with Russia. Even when Stupid was in charge, him and Russia was not really on the best of terms. But clearly there's something going on there that we need to monitor. But yeah, them and China, those are definitely issues. But for the most part, many of our allies, we are back in good standing with, I would like to think. So he's definitely done that, but that wasn't a hard do. All you basically had to do was like, okay, ignore him. We back to how we had it before. So it wasn't like he put in a lot of work with that. I basically get at a B. Okay, number 7. We're working on a comprehensive plan for police reform. Well, if Stan is still in the room, I think I know how you feel about that one. And I would agree that no, the plan is not there. The plan is not being implemented. It's not being talked about enough even. Bottom line, we just haven't seen a lot of videos of people getting dealt with by the police unfairly or communities talking about it as much, but it's still going on. You know, they still put out these numbers that, yeah, the crime is down in certain parts of the country, but crime is still up overall when it comes to the overall. So are we getting anything done for real in terms of police reform? What happened to this commission they're supposed to be forming? Did that happen? And if it's so, when are they going to come out with any type of information for us? Right now, definitely not working. Definitely an F on that. Let's move on. Number 8, increase the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour and work on an unemployment reform. No, we know that didn't happen. I hate, in fact, all right, what's going on? Ms. Nelson checking in the building. Hey, G-Ma. I hate that was the one major thing taken out of the relief plan because clearly we see where that would have been very useful right now. What you're concerned about the healthcare industry, the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry, that's where a lot of these jobs have been lost and are still struggling to find employees. If in fact the national unemployment rate is $15 an hour, I think a lot of those people may have come back to those jobs. That would have been a considerable raise for some people. But of course, that's the problem that several of the Republicans had. Remember, a lot of the Republicans, they come from these smaller states. If you sit down and analyze it, the Kentucky, South Carolinas, Wyomings, and Dakotas of the world, where unemployment is not high and the minimum wage is not high either. You basically working with $9 and $10 an hour. So if you are to increase it to $15 an hour, that's a huge raise for some people. I'm sure there are many people in those states that would have loved for that to have been implemented, even if it was over time. But clearly, again, when people are more concerned about what the people with the money have as opposed to the people who do not, that's why you get that situation. And again, even if we didn't pass it in that bill, why did we not try to do a standalone bill for the unemployment? And even if we could get 15, could we move it up to 13? Could we even move it up to 12 and a half? It's a start. Remember, right now, federal minimum wage is still what, about $9? There are still states that have a minimum wage of like $7.75, $7.50. That's not good. That's not getting you anywhere. That is not a living wage where you can afford life insurance, health insurance, take your kids to school, all of that. So many of those people, they're still working 2 jobs or other hustles in order to make ends meet. So that is probably one I should have moved up higher on the list. But the fact that that has no longer even come up in conversation bothers me. So yeah, he definitely failed us on that one. F on that. Let us move on to number 9. Regulate student debt and create paths for loan forgiveness. As you know, didn't happen. It's supposed to be part of that. It's part of this bill that they've been trying to pass. The problem is that even the Democrats themselves cannot totally agree on what parts of that is valid, what parts aren't, what parts we can increase and decrease and such. None of that has happened. So, again, bad dude, bad dude. Gregory Lynn Meyer, what's going on? Thanks for checking in. All right. Let's keep it moving. Ro checking into the building. What's going on, Ro? What's happening? Thanks for coming through as always. You know we appreciate you here on the show. Okay, we go to number 10. Create a commission and then establish a path to provide reparations to African American descendants of slaves. Now, y'all already know that did not happen. There are a couple bills that have been talked about that are sitting on some senators or representatives' desks, but they haven't even come up to be discussed in Congress. So the fact that we're a year in and it ain't been talked about and ain't nobody said nothing about none of it indicates that we are going to keep status quo with that one. We will be waiting a long time for that to ever happen, if it ever happens at all. It'd just be nice for the discussion even to be had so we can basically say, okay, we want to do it, but this is why we can't. Even though it's all BS, because we know they could. They've done it for other minorities. They've done it for other countries. It definitely could happen. There's a way to make it happen. They just choose not to do so. All right, let's move on. Number 11, create programs for minorities and women to have greater access to business, home, and personal loans. Again, none of that has been touched, dealt with. No bills talked about on that one. No movement on that front. And finally, I think I need to move this so we can see that last one. Hold on. Got to move the banner, y'all. The last one is make it possible for all citizens to have access to universal college and or trade school admissions. Because again, I think truthfully that would be more helpful. If you didn't have universal school, at least have it to where you could go to the trade school or community college of your choice and have it funded by the government. Even if it's just halfly funded by the government, that would be helpful to a lot of folks. I definitely would like for something like that to go on sooner than later. But bottom line, you see my list, and as you see, most of the things I have mentioned on said list has not happened, has not even come close to happening. And the thought process is, okay, again, it all depends on what side of the fence you're going to play. If you're a Democrat, you're thinking, okay, well, the problem is we just didn't get enough of the Democrats in. 50-50 wasn't good enough. So now we got to try to do 52-48 or 54-46, whatever the case may be. Could that happen? Possibly. Is it likely to happen? At this point, I don't think so. Because you know how a lot of you think. If things didn't get done in a timely fashion, your thought process is either A, they don't care. It don't even matter if I vote or not. So why bother? B, okay, we got a problem. We need to get the people to stop voting for the other folks so they can get in. Or C, government full of mess. It don't matter what we do. I'm going to keep voting, but I know in the end ain't nothing going to get done. And if those are the thought processes, we're going to have a long year. Big Meats checking into the building. What up, Big Stu? This entire administration gets a D plus C minus with renegade Democrats and staunch Republicans being ridiculous. And in my overall grade, I will also give it a D plus. The bottom line, we did get a few small things done, some small efforts being taken place. Overall, we are better off slightly than we were in year one of stupid, as far as I'm concerned. But in the end, we are not that much better off. It is not this major coming of age, so to speak. The country is still divided. We are still not where we need to be in terms of our thought process with one another. We are basically one more disaster away from things getting really ugly. And right now, we just need a lot of work done, and it's not getting done. So the question is, people, what you gonna do? Tracy checking into the building. What up, Trace? What's going on, bro? Good to see you. What we gonna do, y'all? Are we gonna wait till November, see how they play all the game, and then say, okay, well, I'm here. Let me vote for who I need to vote for, and hopefully it works out? Are we prepared for what happens when the more likely scenario, where basically at least one of those houses go back under Republican control, happens, and then at that point, we didn't get much done in the first 2 years. We're probably gonna get very little done in the next 2 years. Will that then change your mind in terms of, okay, well, clearly we need to vote for the Republican guy now because this ain't gonna work? Or for those of you who are just waiting for that fateful day, we need to vote for stupid again because stupid had it going on. The only problem stupid had was that COVID hit. Because let's be honest, as much as I hate to admit it, it's probably true. If it had not been for COVID, more than likely stupid would still be president right now. He would. And basically not much would get done for us, the people with the money. They will probably be semi-happy. And Lord knows, with a second term after being impeached 2 times, who knows what this man would have come up to do or say or attempt to do. That's the real crazy part about it. If we do somehow get him back as president, God help us all. God help us all. But yep, that is my report on year one of the presidency. Biden, do better. Do much better. Have your people do better. If in the end you feel like, as we said, the Democrats that are working with you are working with you, and the ones that's not, then hey, I ain't mad at you if you go down to West Virginia or Arizona and be like, look, these two here, they gotta go. These Republicans on the low, they not helping. I'm not mad at you for going like the previous president did, saying, hey, we need to get this Democrat in because these Republicans, they're not helping the cause. I'm trying to do this for you, and I can't get it done because these guys are giving me a hard time. They gotta go. They gotta go. Do what you need to do to get it done, sir. Remember, federal minimum. Yes, we did actually talk about that. I don't know when you came in the conversation, but no, that was on my list. There it is right there at number 8. Increase the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour and work on unemployment reform. So, yeah, I definitely talked about that. Like I said, that more than almost anything else they did in that Biden relief plan would have been a major help. If you basically just pass that along with the Biden relief plan and the infrastructure bill, I would have gave you a much higher grade. You at least would have got a C at that point. Because that helps more of the common man, the everyday person here in the country than anything else that was done. Because that would be something that would raise up people's standard of living big time, considering that a lot of these places, the smaller places, are only hiring for $7-8 an hour. If you get raised to $15, that's double what you're making. That's definitely going to help you overall in the end. Absolutely. But anyway, that is that discussion. Remember, as the months and stuff go on, continue to analyze what's going on. And in the end, vote your conscience. If you feel like the Republicans could do a better job than they did, I can't be mad at you no more. I can't. Because right now, at this point, I'm independent. I don't care, Republican. If you show me you got a plan, one that I think will work, that could be implemented properly, then I will at least listen to your story. That's where I'm at right now. I am independent until otherwise specified and notified. Period. So that being said, that is that part of the discussion, folks. We are now going to go on to this last topic of the day here. Bad habits. Now, I discussed this because this involves a Facebook post that I made a few days ago that got a lot more commentary than I thought it would, actually. I was just stating for the record something, but that actually led to many people commenting on it. And then there was a couple comments in particular that I definitely wanted to address. So let me find that so I can read it exactly. Here we go. Posted this 3 days ago for any of you on my page that wants to check it out. As mail us a comment so you'll know the two in particular that I'm talking about. I'm not going to name them by name, but I'm definitely going to address their comments. Queen V, what's going on? Thanks for coming through. I posted the following. 4 years ago today, I stopped drinking alcohol, and I promise you it's one of the smartest things I ever did. If I could put this type of commitment to the rest of my life, I would be a lot better off. Happy anniversary to me. Now, some of you know the story, but for those of you who don't, let me break it down to you. What happened was 4 years ago at that time, I was seeing someone. And the problem became that that individual was a staunch alcoholic. In fact, I would go one step further and call them a drunk. They were a drunk because every single day they felt they needed to drink. Not just drink a drink, but drink throughout the day, all day. And how much they drank affected what they got done, how they did it, who they talked to, how they talked to them, etc., etc. It was crazy because what eventually happened was the day, which was January 19th, 4 years ago, I experienced that person for what I found out to be the first time as somebody who was sober. It was the only time in our entire 6-month relationship that this person was sober the entire day. And they were very, very not good to deal with on several levels. Because after they finally woke up at 2 in the afternoon and basically tried to scrap up money for drinks because I was not using my money to buy them a drink that day, they were at a point where they were just beyond themselves, okay? Basically felt like the world was crashing around them. I got to get something to drink. I cannot concentrate or do anything until I get something to drink. What's good, Big Easy? That's got to be Coach V in the building. What's going on, Coach V? So, yeah, what finally happened was that individual finally woke me up at 3 in the morning to tell me that I cannot go to sleep. I need something to drink. I will not be able to go to sleep without it. And when I informed him that I was not going to leave my bed at 3 in the morning to go just find some alcohol, understanding that all liquor stores in the area close at 2, or at least are supposed to. That's another story for another day. That no, I'm not doing that. Well, I can go to this place on the east side, which is basically 15 minutes from my house, to get this alcohol. No, I did not agree to do that either. So basically, that person proceeded to stay up the rest of the night. Waited till the liquor store down the street opened, and then basically at 9:45 was fully dressed at the door, waking me up to inform me, yeah, we got to go to the store. So we actually sat there, waited for the store to open. She was the first person in the store. She bought the alcohol. She opened it in the store, and before we even left the store, took 2 big, gigantic swigs of the alcohol. And then proceeded to tell me about, okay, now I can do this and this and this. Like it was the elixir they needed to solve their entire life problems. At that point, I looked at myself and said, self, if you ever end up like that, you are doomed. And if this is the person you choose to spend the rest of your life with, you are doomed. So at that moment, I decided not only was I going to analyze why I drink it all, but that I was done with that person, period. So that very next day, the 20th, done. You got to go. We are over. What did I do? It's not what you do, it's what you're doing. I cannot watch you do this to yourself. Now, unfortunately, I am sad to say that that person is no longer with us. What happened to them, you ask? I don't really know. All I know is that when I went to check on various pages to see if I was going to keep them as part of my Facebook group, and I found the rest in peace analogies and whatnot, and basically did a little junior investigation to find out that yes, she had passed over a year and a half ago, before COVID, man. That yeah, I don't know if it was alcohol that did it. I don't know if it's some of her other issues. I do know since that time she went to jail a few times. I also know that this person also got my house robbed and my car stolen from me. Whether that was alcohol related or because they were salty about how I ended, I do not know. All I know is that based on what I found out in time, she was definitely the person involved in all that. So my question is this: the bad habits, the things that we feel we need to do, we have to do in order to cope, what is that worth to you? It was not worth me losing my belongings and my mind and all the money I spent. Understand how crazy you are if you are sitting here making money on a daily basis and spending that money to do something that you rarely or hardly do. The week before all that fateful day happened, I was the one buying her drinks. I'd sit there and buy her a fifth of this and this and that, and the next day it would be gone. The same bottle of alcohol, it'd probably take me months or a whole year to drink myself, because that's how rare it was that I drank to any great degree. When I look at all the friends that I have or had because of basically hanging out with them, and the main thing they like to do was drink or smoke, and basically now I look at my life and those people are not in my life, it's primarily because of that. I'm no fun. I'm a lame. All I do is drink water and stuff now. That's no fun. But here's the thing. When I was hanging out with them and I was drinking, they was drinking. I was sipping, okay? On a good day, I go out, and maybe a little bit more. That's how much alcohol I would drink during that whole adventure. Meanwhile, they get one drink after the other. I would basically be the designated driver because everybody else is sloshed. That is not how I wanted to live my life. That was not the life that I set myself up to live. Even when I did drink, I was not a big time drinker. Yeah, there were a few days where I can honestly say I was legally drunk. There were a couple times I drank and drive, some I do not approve of, and I hate that I did it, because more times than not, I'd be like, nope, I feel like I done drank too much. I won't stay here for the night. But the bottom line is, why on earth would I do something that don't really benefit me? I hate the taste of most alcohol. It's disgusting. It's just strong. It don't taste like much of nothing. So then, of course, you say, well, no, you got to try this liquor and that liquor. And I've done that. I went with the suggestions. But then in the end, most of it, And then, of course, there's the whole after effect. The next day with the cotton mouth and the dryness you feel, and now you're extra thirsty and you get slightly cloudy and all of that. Why was that beneficial to me? Some people, they drink because they want to be numbed. They want to not be able to concentrate on whatever they feel their real problem is. They use it to self-medicate and all of that. Not doing that. They used it when they got depressed or their feelings was hurt and whatnot. And yeah, I would try it like that, but that didn't really benefit me. It didn't solve the issue. When my dad died and they had me drink, I still was sad about my dad the next day. That didn't make nothing go away. It didn't make it no easier to deal with or any of that. And then, of course, there are several people in the family that might see this and say, hey, yeah, lame. He this, he that. Think what you want. I'm grown. And my grown decision 4 years ago was to say, if you don't benefit from drinking alcohol, then why you do it? Why are you spending your money on? Why over the years have you bought people hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of alcohol to watch them drink it more times than not, and you just basically sit there? Was it beneficial? I guess you could say that to some degree, because some people, they drank it and it helped them get into their emotions, and that led to other things. You don't know what I'm talking about. But beyond the realm of that, no, it didn't benefit me because usually that made them harder to deal with after the high was gone. So yeah, I am proud of the fact that for 4 years of change now, I have not drank alcohol. And most of you were very proud of me for announcing that. I got many congratulations, and that's awesome and all of that. But then there was one comment in particular that basically was said, and you know who you are, so I'm not gonna put you out there. But again, if you have access to my page, you can look it up. And they basically said, and I quote, "Congratulations. But me, I'm going to drink till the day I die. I can't trust a man that don't drink or smoke, just happy of life for no reason." If that's how you truly feel, fam, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. And yeah, I know you have issues, some that can't be helped and all of that. I understand that you too suffer from depression like myself. But if you choose to self-medicate that, how's that working for you, sir? You have other posts that you have made that I've commented on. You basically play it as if life is just terrible for you. You got to stop looking at the bad so much and look at the good. That's part of the issue, family. The other part is you have to realize that whatever's in that bottle or rolled up in that leaf, that's only going to get you so far in terms of making things better. And you've been doing that for most of your adult life. How far has it got you? How much does that really work? And I'm not sitting here to preach to all of y'all, be like me, don't drink, don't smoke. Because I've told you that on occasion I smoke marijuana. But more or less it is for medicinal purposes because it does help me sleep when I really can't sleep. Or it does help with pain management when I've been in pain for those years where I had the issue with my feet. We've talked about that. I'm not hiding that. But in the same token, if I have not needed it, I have not used it. It does not benefit me any other way. Beyond that, this makes me tired and hungry and other things that I basically can't contend with on a regular, everyday basis. Not to mention the financial burden that it puts on some of y'all. It's sad that basically there are people who basically walk around this city and other parts of the country every day, and over half of their expenses is on self-medication, alcohol, marijuana, and drugs. That's what you literally spend half of your money on. And then wonder why you can't afford to do this and this and that. But yet be the same people that don't want to go get a second job, a better job, or go back to school or any of those things. So even if some of those things Biden did make available to us, it still wouldn't benefit you because you are more concerned about that end of it. There are some people who have told me point blank, and you know who you are, that I've had a good day if I have drank, smoked, had sex, and had something good to eat. That's a good day for me, period. Again, if that's how you truly feel, then yeah, I understand why we no longer deal with each other on that level. Because that's not how I feel about life. I've never really felt like that. Even back in the days when I was good time Charlie and hanging out and one buying the rounds of drinks and all of that. That still was not what I was truly thinking. I was going along to get along. And in the end, if you are drinking or smoking, because that's what you're doing, I want you to analyze what really, really you are doing. Is that the way you really want to live the rest of your entire life? Or at some point, will you take that pledge like I did and say, you know what, smirk what everybody else feel about it. I'm not doing it no more. And if that makes me not fun for you to deal with, that makes me not the person you want in your circle, if that makes me, as you said, a person you cannot trust, so be it. Why do we don't hang out? Why I'm not going to some of the family functions? Why am I not pressed to deal with certain parts of my family, both dad and mom side? If that's what y'all do on an everyday basis, guess what? I don't want no parts of that. That ain't me. And if I can't be EB, I don't know who else I'm supposed to be. Because everybody else is taken. And in the end, you just doing it because that's what the family does. That's just tradition. That's just how we do it. Then I say you need to analyze why you really do. That's all I'm saying. Something to think about, y'all. You in the end, you make your own conclusions, decisions on this part of the conversation. If you want to discuss it in the comments, feel free. If you want to discuss it through the email, as you see going across the screen there, feel free as well. But that's how I feel about it. In the end, you do it for whatever reasons you do it. I don't do it anymore, and those are the reasons why. And I might address this again, I might not. But bottom line, that's how I feel about it. So that being said, we about to wrap it up. Wasn't a lot of comments today, but that's okay. I see y'all are tuning in and you checking out the show, and I appreciate that all the same. Whether you come in for a few minutes or for a couple hours, I all appreciate it. And if you share it and like it with other folks, I appreciate that as well. Again, for all of you entrepreneurs who are looking to put your business out to more people, this podcast is seen on any given week by people in over 22 different states and 4 different countries. So feel free to get in contact with me at nighthNetwork313@gmail.com so we can come up with some type of promotions for you guys, for we can spread the word. We particularly are looking for people who are African-American entrepreneurs and minority entrepreneurs so we can spread your business, your goods, your services to the masses, if we could. Next week, we will not be on. We will not be doing a show next week. We will take a week off to catch up on some other things. When we come back in 2 weeks, we hopefully will have a guest on the show. A couple people I'm going to reach out to and hopefully get one of them on so we can discuss some stuff. We also tomorrow should finally be able to start the series that I am calling the Best of Hey Bitches Live, to show some of those shows and what went on behind the scenes and talk about all that. We've been trying to get it done for like a week, but we had computer issues. I think we have temporarily at least resolved them. So tomorrow at 9, we'll finally be able to do that for you guys. Looking forward to it. But for the most part, that is that. Let me also send a shout out, as always, to my partners here in the Nighthawk Network. Among them being the person who chimed in earlier, that will be Big Meech. Big Meech should be doing Dish and Tea tonight at 9. Said what I said Sundays. I did appear on that program last Sunday. We had a very good conversation. I enjoyed myself. I might check back in this evening. We will see. Stan Mason, who also checked in today. His show Behind the Blue Curtain is Saturdays at 11. I don't know if we've completely resolved the whole issue he was having with Facebook in regards to going live on Facebook. If not, we'll at least start posting the YouTube version of the show for you guys to check out. Basically, I wasn't able to see it yesterday. I don't know if he did a show or not. I'm assuming he did. So if so, I will probably post that, guys, for you tomorrow. Also, Pastor Sean Love Presents. He did indeed send his next episode to me. So we'll definitely be posting that soon. Hopefully you guys are checking that out and enjoying it. And also we have the No Weapons Formed Against Us with my cousin, Dr. Marla Facey Good. She is going to be on Mondays at 8, I believe now, instead of Thursdays for that show. And then Monumental Moments in God's Word, I believe she's now doing on Tuesday nights instead of Thursday, I should say. Again, we are going to do Hey Bitches with host Elena Hologram, 9 p.m. tomorrow, the best of. And of course, there is my other podcast, the Game Time Audible with Hugh Lee, the sports guru. Of course, we'll definitely be talking about some of these playoff games along with other sports. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying that show as well. But all that being said, y'all, we about to get up out of here. Thank you guys, as always, like I said, for tuning in. We appreciate you and all your comments and efforts and all that. If you are going to watch this later on and comment on the show, feel free to leave the comments. We do check them after the fact. They do oftentimes get back to me in the commentary sections. So please do that. That would be cool. With that being said, we about to head on out. We will catch you guys tomorrow for the best of Helena Hologram. Hey Bitches Live. Until then, be thoughtful, be safe, be caring, be kind. Remember, still in the middle of a pandemic, wear the mask. If you ain't sure, wear two. Remember now, they suggest we wear these KN95 masks or the N95 masks. You can get a hold of them. That was probably to your better interest. If not, then do like I do and wear two. hopefully will help more than they will harm. And hopefully soon we will not have to be concerned about it as much. We will see. So, all right. I've said what I had to say. We are out of here as soon as I find that darn thing. Every week we go through this, y'all. I got to post this in big bold letters or something. Here we go. Bye-bye.